The following is a Hoop Ball presentation.
Hello and welcome to the Hoop Ball NBA DFS Today podcast. Today is Friday, November 8th, and we will be discussing the card for tomorrow, Saturday, November 9th, 5-game slate. I am Joe Sarvati, affectionately known as Coach, and I am joined by the one, the only, one of the top sharks in the NBA DFS world, Mr. Mike Apotria. How are you tonight, Mike?
I'm doing well. I'm actually only here to contest the chicken soup contest, though, Coach, because I do not agree. I do not feel like I should have a loss with Sabonis being ruled out. I'm here to kick and stomp, and cry my eyes out a little bit. That I just feel like we should have reneged that one, man. I mean, you took your victory lap and you ran around the block with it, and I respect it. You did win it, but I feel like there's an asterisk next to it.
Well, I mean, if you re-listen to our preseason shows, we went by the motto, success occurs when opportunity meets preparation. And you needed to know Sabonis was going to be dialed up, and TJ Leaf is so bad that he wasn't going to get his butt off that wood, man. I'm sorry, dude. I really am.
I think if we go back and listen to the show, we both gave recommendations as though Sabonis was ruled out. We were actually more certain that, or more questionable that Turner was going to play. So
Well,
I think I got an I think I might listen, Coach. I might have went back and listened to that show just because I'm
well,
very begrudging about
what's
this.
really sad is, you thought you had a compadre there in Andrew Hansen, and he was trying to root for this to count as 2 points towards the chicken soup
Oh
challenge
no,
because you got a zero. You
no.
took a zero, so he said it should count
I
double. I
listen.
said,
I
"Oh,
listened.
Andrew."
I listened. So,
Oh,
don't
damn,
give me
you listened.
that.
I got you last time on that one.
I listened. It's not happening. I listened to the
Shit.
show.
It was worth a shot.
Shout out Andrew having my back. I appreciate that, man. Also giving my Goran Dragic props. I heard the show, Coach. I
Yes.
appreciate Andrew out there. Not everyone's taking shots at the young guy over here.
Yeah, I know, man. Well, that's all right. You're only down one, dude. Long
Yeah, no,
season. You
I'll
can
take
make
that one
it
to the
up.
chin. I'll take it to the chin, and we'll move on. I'll let you have that one. I'm sure the same thing might happen to you sometime down the road.
I
So
I doubt I take a golden goose. I'm just gonna go out there and say it and jinx myself, but I
yep.
doubt I'm gonna take a golden goose this year. That's all. That's all I can say. All right, dude. Well, before we get rocking and rolling here, we want to thank our presenting sponsor, Fantasy Draft, for helping to bring this to fruition. Our 7-day a week, state of the art, best of industry DFS NBA free programming. And so we thank fantasydraft.com. If you're not a member there yet, go to fantasydraft.com, sign up with the promo code HoopBall, get up to $1,000 in free entry for the first 7 days. So get in there. They have some great contests. They're $30,000 pick and roll daily. It's a $25 tournament. They're $5, $7,500 layup, both guaranteed, both rake free. So you got to love Fantasy Draft. Also, manscaped.com, 20% off with the promo code HoopBall, free shipping. MyBookie.ag for all of your wagering needs. And I know everybody dials up NFL wagers on the weekend, so go to MyBookie.ag and get things going there. I believe the promo code there is it today? Is that correct?
TODAY.
There you go, and you get some free, I believe, 100% match on your deposit, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes,
So
sir.
that's beautiful.
Up to a
And
thousand.
then we have Hawaiian Isles Kona Coffee Company, who Andrew, I can't wait to hear from Andrew. Today was his first cup ever of Hawaiian Isles Kona Coffee.
Coach, he's
So we'll
probably
have
still awake. He's probably still awake from the cup. He's running. I promise you, this coffee's fantastic, guys. I don't just say it because they were our first sponsor. Listen, I gotta thank the fan. He sent me a couple blends that he won in our contest last year. He sent it to me, and those two blends I've been just hooked on. The dark roast blends that they have, absolutely fantastic. I don't know, Coach. Do you drink coffee? I'm a dark roast guy. I don't know if you drink coffee though. I never asked
Oh,
you that.
I absolutely love coffee. I drink a minimum of 2 cups every single day. So I like to mix it up. I like French roast. I go a little hazelnut, mix it up,
All
man.
right.
But Hawaiian Isles, great. I love it. Big endorsement. I definitely love it. So great stuff, dude. Well, listen, we only have a 5-game slate on Saturday. I think it's the least games on a Saturday all season, if I'm not mistaken. I believe that is the case. So that's sort of odd because then we come back on Sunday with 8 games. Never more games on Sunday than Saturday, but that's how it pans out. And we are going to do this entire preseason we did, and we're going to do the entire regular season, and we're not going to miss one single game. So when that's all said and done and everything's finished, we can say that we gave our DFS take on every single preseason and regular season and playoff game throughout the entire season on preseason and playoffs. And the reason I bring that up is we did have one person shoot a note on Twitter that said, why are you guys going over games that aren't on the main slate? Well, we go over every game because you can play every game in DFS. And what I see most people doing, like tomorrow, there's a 5 p.m. Eastern game, Boston, San Antonio, and most of the sites will have a 1-game challenge where you can get, put a captain in there, you get double his points, etc. You guys know how those work. And they'll play that, and then they'll play the main slate game, which tomorrow night is only 4 games. So we are always going to go over every game, and then you just have to, we don't tell you an exact lineup to play. So when we're going over all the games, build your core from what we're talking about, and then follow up by watching and double checking everything tomorrow prior to lock to see any of the changes, updates, any of the player news that comes out. So with that, dude, Boston, San Antonio, a very interesting game, couple of good defensive teams. 5 p.m. Eastern. What do you think, buddy?
All right, so looking at this game, I kind of like you said, it's two very good defenses. So you're more or less when I'm looking at this game, I'm trying to target the positions where I think there's going to be advantages. The one person on the Spurs, I think I feel comfortable fading, and you have to be able to fade a big name in this kind of contest is DeRozan. Just knowing that the Celtics are very good at defending the perimeter wings. I think I'd much rather take advantage of LaMarcus Aldridge in the position where that the Celtics are very weak in the front court. So for me,
Okay.
it's like an obvious play when I'm looking at that kind of side of the ball. And I also think this could be a spot where we see a little bit more DeJounte Murray, knowing that Kemba Walker is one of their main offensive weapons. Kind of putting a lockdown defender on him might seem like a priority for Popovich. So I think those are going to be my 2 favorite plays on the Spurs. And then taking a shot at a cheap guy like Bryn Forbes or Trey Lyles. Both of those guys, I think, are both in play as well. A little bit of salary savers, Trey Lyles. He's kind of hit or miss, but if you look at the games where he does hit, it's minutes where he could take advantage in the center matchup. Gets a bigger rebounding games. In 2 of the past 4 games, he has 12 and 14 rebounds. So there is some upside with him, and the low floor might not even kill you on a slate like this because it's a 1-game contest, and he's still going to be on the floor for at least probably 20 minutes. So I don't know where you're looking at the Spurs, Coach. That's kind of what my nutshell, gathering from this game is. But just to be completely frank, this isn't like I like to play these showdown slates. This isn't a showdown slate I'm absolutely in love with.
Yeah, I'm going to go very light. I know the last 2 Saturdays, the showdown game happened to be really good both days. I think it was the Heat and somebody the one day, but it was really Oklahoma City, I think, was in one of them. But this is not really it's a tough game to grab DFS players out of, let alone build an entire roster of 6 guys for that kind of matchup. So I'll play something small just because I always do, but I'm not gonna go heavy on it either. But probably my captain in this game is going to be Gordon Hayward. I believe I've seen it multiple games. I think his game translates to playing well against a Spurs team that does a good job defensively on rotation and stuff, because he's somewhat immune to that with his backdoor cuts and some putbacks, and he gets a lot of shots like that. I think the guy that's going to be a little bit more affected that I'm going to fade on this is Kemba Walker. I think they'll defend him better with Murray and Mills and different guys. They'll switch on him just to keep fresh legs and really pressure him. And, he's still coming off the emotions of that Charlotte game where, we certainly made a mistake. I think us and about 90% of the DFS world and everybody playing Kemba against Charlotte that last game. But what we didn't realize is he'd be crying beforehand and hugging everybody. And he was just emotionally spent and didn't have anything left for the game, which was, something I guess we did not factor in. But I just think with that, they're still on a road trip. He's probably still a little drained. San Antonio does a great job against opposing point guards. I'm going to fade him, and hopefully a lot of ownership goes there. People expecting a bounce back game from Kemba. So on the Boston side, I like Hayward. I also like Daniel Tice. He's been consistently getting 25, 30, 35 fantasy points with Canner being out again. Time Lord Robert Williams there isn't doing much, and that Poirier guy's lousy. So, Tice is going to get enough run, I think, to be a valuable tool at a cheap cost. So those are the two that I like on the Boston side. On the Charlotte side, Rozier coming off just a horrific game. I think he's really struggling confidence-wise.
Charlotte, they're playing San Antonio,
Or
coach.
not Charlotte. What am I talking about? I went to I had Charlotte on my screen because that's who they just got done playing.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. But on the San Antonio side, yeah, San Antonio. I said it last time. I'll say it again. They rotate a lot of guys. They're sort of other. They remind me a little bit of Dallas, other than Porzingis and Luka. They sort of have DeRozan and Aldridge that play, solid minutes, but never enough to really crush. And then all their other guys, just so much rotation. And I think, Derek White's back. Didn't he miss a game? Didn't White miss a game?
He was definitely injured. I don't actually it's a good question. I don't think
He actually ended up
he
playing. I
played. I
know.
don't think he missed because I was definitely keeping
Okay.
my eye on Patty Mills that night just in case he did
Right.
miss.
Yeah.
But
But
no,
they,
he didn't.
they've had everybody in their rotation. Forbes is playing, and Bellinelli's been getting in, getting some shots up. And I never feel comfortable. I don't know how you're going to fill out, or how we're going to fill out a six-man team with trying to force some of these San Antonio guys in. I don't even know really who to say for value with them. I mean, on any given night, like Mills that one night had like 28 out of completely nowhere. Rudy Gay's been terrible. DeMar Carroll's been horrendous. Pirtle's been bad. I guess, you figure out the salary, maybe take some Boston guys, like, if you're desperate to fill in with like a Wanamaker or something as your last guy, and maybe roll with DeRozan and Aldridge. I just don't know who else on the Spurs side to even recommend. Beyond that, I wouldn't even feel comfortable with it. So, I guess that's sort of a build you can work on. If you have Hayward, Tice, Aldridge, DeRozan, and then you just need one more value guy in there that's not dirt cheap. I don't even think you have to go as low as Wanamaker. You can probably fit somebody else in there that's decent. And that should give our viewers a little edge in that first game, don't you think?
Absolutely, and I think on the Boston side, you hit the nail on the head. I think Hayward's in just a fantastic spot this season. I think he looks like the bounce back player that he was when he was playing in Utah. He's finally getting his feet back under him. He's not as tentative as he was last season, and maybe that was because of the whole Kyrie Irving situation. Maybe it wasn't, but it looks like he's definitely going to be a steal in season-long leagues wherever he was drafted. I'm on Tice. Nolan Canner's out. I think he's going to be another solid player where he's kind of his role. He's 20, 25 minutes. He's producing in that role as well.
Yeah.
Um, And then, another thing we have to keep an eye on with these Boston Wings is, Jaylen Brown being back, how that's going to affect everything. Marcus Smart is still kind of priced up a little bit. I think that's just because of the 3-game absence that Jaylen was facing. But those are going to be my two main targets on this side. I think you can play Kemba. It's a showdown slate at the end of the day. Yes, I was kind of talking about DeJounte Murray's defense, but that doesn't really, there's probably not another player that has the same sort of upside on this slate that Kemba does, other than Hayward. So
Right.
we know what he could do, and I was just kind of messing around while you were talking, Coach, and I managed to build a lineup with Hayward, Kemba, Tice, DeRozan, Aldridge, and then another value play at the bottom as well. So you can
Nice.
easily do that, and that's with Hayward at the captain spot. So there you go. Now you know the lineup. I'm probably not going to be playing too much of the showdown slate anyway. So if you want to mess around with it and play that one, go for it. I don't promise you it's going to win you money or anything, but I'm just trying to show that it's very easy to build a lineup with all 4 of the studs in there if you really wanted to.
Oh boy, we're on the exact same page. That's a good thing, man. Take it down, everybody. Take it down. All right, main slate, 4 games only on a Saturday. Doesn't seem possible, but it's true. First game is the Pelicans, and I was in such a rush to talk about the Hornets, but here they are. Why, I don't know, because the Hornets are really, really bad, although they're 4-4 somehow. I don't know how that's possible, but they are. Pelicans 1-7 after tonight, like they're losing to Toronto as we do the show, and they are going to be on a back-to-back against the Hornets. Hornets played at home against Boston. They had a night off, and they're waiting for the Pelicans that have to fly in town. So advantage Hornets on that matchup. 2 teams that are definitely not the best of DFS teams to stack on. What's your initial take on this Pels Hornets game?
So the number one thing I want to keep an eye on is Lonzo Ball. Just knowing that he was questionable, but the coach pretty much said he was going to play coming into the game, but he didn't practice the whole entire week. He played limited in practice, so it is a back to back. They are traveling, so I want to keep my eye on him. I think that's going to be something worth monitoring. He'll probably play, but maybe they want to ease back the minutes, knowing it's back to back and that he was coming into the game injured. So I'm going to completely, stay off the whole Lonzo Ball thing. I'm honestly probably going to stay away from Charlotte in general. Just on the other side, I know I just kind of bounced around, but my main focus is probably only going to be on New Orleans to start with this game. This game
Yeah.
doesn't entice me too much altogether. I'm going to basically be looking at Brandon Ingram. Drew Holiday is absolutely crushing it right now. I think that's, I think the bounce back spot and him kind of picking it up and playing like in the form that he should is on its way. He started off very poor to the season, kind of getting acclimated with all these other young guys that just came over to the team. So once he starts picking it up, looking at his price tag, he's going to be underpriced across the industry, every single site. And there's going to be a jumping on point that we're going to want to hit on the head. So after his performance, it is a back-to-back. Like I said, that is one thing that we're going to have to keep an eye on. There's going to be a few other teams on this slate that are on back-to-backs as well. So, at some point we have to kind of step back and say we can't dodge every back-to-back that's possible on the game. I think Holiday and Ingram are going to be my 2 main focuses. I'm not messing with the front court with Favors healthy. I don't want really any part of that. And I think Josh Hart can kind of sneak in as a little squeaky play, knowing that Ball is kind of playing with a little bit of an injury right now, and it is a back-to-back. I think he might see a little bit of extended run.
Good call. Checking the Pelicans box score right now. They're in the 4th quarter, losing by 13 to Toronto. But it looks like Gentry has really spread out the minutes. Ingram and Holiday have played the most, and they're in the 20s, but he's played almost everybody else like 10, 12, 14 minutes. He's played 12 deep in preparation for the back-to-back. So I don't think, 2 reasons. One, he's played everybody a ton of minutes and not worn them out in this game. And 2, they're an extremely young team with, veteran teams have a little bit trouble bouncing back in one night. But these guys, I don't think the back-to-back's going to affect them at all. Ingram's chucked up 25 shots already tonight, and there's still quite a bit of time left. So, to say he's not the go-to guy there, and, I don't think his price has quite risen to what he's really been able to accomplish. I mean, I think that you have to consider him unless his price jumps tomorrow for some odd reason. I think Ingram is is certainly in play. He's certainly their go-to guy. Again, tonight he may end up getting 30 shots up, and he'll ice that shoulder down. I'm sure he'll come out firing again tomorrow. But he would be the number one play, I think, on the New Orleans side. He's demanding the ball. He's difficult guard, difficult matchup for everybody. I think that he certainly deserves ownership, especially on a smaller slate like this, where there's not nearly as many choices to make. So on the other side of the ball, let me see here. I want to check. I mean, I'm just
say pass, coach. They're all priced up. They're all
just not good,
like
man. They're not
lower
good.
ceiling type plays. There's just not a lot of meat. What did I say last week? Was it juice on the bone? There's not a lot of juice on
You
the
were
bone.
delirious.
In this.
You were delirious at that point. We gave you a pass on the juice on the bone, but no, they stink. I mean, let's face it, they're just not good, and you can't. I mean, Devontae Graham's really been their best player. As bizarre as that, who would ever believe that at this point of the season?
I didn't
But
see it coming.
no, nobody did. But you're right. I'm just not even going to try to force something here. I just don't like anybody here, and it's that simple. Let's go to a game that's going to have a nice, juicy over-under, of course, because the Rockets score like crazy and they don't defend at all. You've got the 8 o'clock game, Houston Rockets and Chicago Bulls. You want to go after it?
Let's do it. And the cool part about this slate, and this, let me know what you think about this, Coach, but the rest of the games are 8 o'clock games, so there really is no late game hammer. There's nothing like no benefit.
Oh, you're right.
So the
Wow.
rest of them are going to be 8 o'clock games after that first start. So you could pretty much distribute amongst this, and watch whatever game you want and have all the love in every game. Nobody has to stay up late. No one has to sweat really late at night and wake up in the morning panicking, wondering if they won money. Well, we'll know before we go to bed. So that's a cool
That's
thing.
such an odd. I guarantee you that this is the only Saturday night slate all season that doesn't have a late night game. That is so weird.
Yeah, it is a little weird. I didn't see it coming, to be honest. When we were getting ready for the show, I started getting ready probably about an hour and a half ago. And I was looking over the slate. The first thing I had to make sure, I was like, wait, hold on, am I on the right day? I know I always work
I
Friday.
know.
Is it Friday? I had to check.
That's what I did. I looked like 3 times. I thought this doesn't make any sense, and I don't want a Patri attacking me for being the old senile guy that's on the wrong day. It's bad enough I go to the wrong team sometimes, but so go ahead, man. What do you got?
All right, so I'm looking at the slate, and this is across the industry. Westbrook just seems a little too cheap for me. Yes, Harden is the guy there still, and he's going to continue to score, but Westbrook seems a little underpriced. He looks like he's going to probably be one of my main targets from this game. I could even see myself doing a little bit of Westbrook and Harden. Yes, there is the chance that this game gets out of hand and that Houston runs away with it, but Chicago's kind of been hanging in a little bit. They're a little bit of scrappers. They got a kind of a deep little rotation going on right now, where their younger players are kind of getting more formidable. So I think on the Houston side, obviously those two guys are always in play. PJ Tucker's actually starting to see a little bit of a price bump where you actually have to think about it. He's been producing fantastically, but we know what his kind of upside is and where he's limited, and that's once his ceiling price gets up there, that's the time where I generally jump off. And we're seeing a little bit with Daniel House as well. So Daniel House is a little bit priced up. So I honestly am just looking at the studs over here.
Okay.
I know I'm always a Capella guy, but I know we don't have a ton of centers to choose from. So if you feel the need to play him, go for it. I'm not going to knock you for it, but I'm going to kind of use some of that flexibility at other positions. I'm really just looking at Harden, Westbrook on Houston's side, and if we jump over to Chicago side, this is a spot where I think you can look at Zach LaVine, mid-price. They're going to need his scoring to kind of keep competitive. James Harden does not play defense. There's no secret about that. I'm going to kind of continue to fade the whole Lauri Markkanen thing. He's just been a little bit up and down for me. He had a good one last game. This isn't a matchup where I generally like to target bigs, is against Houston. I know that's a spot where, if you're not able to keep your conditioning up through this entire game, because they're going to be running. You're going to be going up and down the floor, so I don't generally like to target bigs going against Houston. So I'm basically looking at LaVine because you already know, Coach, I've been saying it all year. I'm completely fading the whole backcourt. I missed out on a Satoransky game, but I'll live with that.
Yeah. Right.
But I'm good with that. And Chandler Hutchinson, he's going to start. He's going to come in as a value play. I think, we haven't seen much. He came into the season hobbled. He was injured. So I really don't know what to expect as far as minutes from him. But he's in the starting lineup. He's going to be minimum salary, so he's definitely going to be on my board.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you. This sounds really bizarre, but I think Houston. There's certainly a possibility they could blow out Chicago, just because I think Chicago's pretty bad, and they're 3-6 and sort of a desperate 3-6. But it is in Chicago, and D'Antoni insists on playing his guys. He's the Tibbs guy, but even worse, because even if it's a 20-point game, like that last game, they were up 22 in the fourth quarter with 6.5 minutes left, and he had Harden in the game. So I think D'Antoni's a terrible coach. Personally, I don't get what he does at all half the time. But I am going to, for the first time this year, I'm going to roll out both Harden and Westbrook. I'm going to take both studs. I'm going to assume that Chicago will keep it within 15-ish. And knowing D'Antoni, the way he plays his guys and keeps his rotation regardless of the score, I think that those guys both smash. And on a small slate like this, where I'm not going to play Luka on a back-to-back, and there's really nobody else, I'm not using Kemba. So, to me, I'm going to roll out the two studs from the Rockets. I haven't done that all season yet. I think it's just a perfect fit. Levine is a terrible defender. Depending on the rotation of Bulls guys that are in there, some of them, Dunn is good, but Kobe's not as good. Sato, I don't think is going to be able to have the foot speed to stick with Harden or Westbrook. So I'm going with the two studs, man. Absolutely. And then I'm going to, because, just in, game planning here and trying to believe Chicago can stay close enough to make this game at least hang in there. I'll probably fire up a Thad Young or a Chandler Hutchison or a Kobe White or somebody, maybe two of those guys that will round out, this making up some of that salary that I'm losing by starting both Houston studs. But this is going to be my key game. I'll probably have 4 of my main 8 build coming out of this game, and I'm just going to pray that it stays close when I'm watching it. And if so, I think I have a chance to have the top 2 scorers on the entire slate.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think both those guys in play make a lot of sense for a lineup. I don't know if I agree with the Doncic fade necessarily, but we'll get to that game.
That's the next game. So we have our second 8 o'clock game. 2 games left, but before we get to those last 2, real quickly, just again want to thank Fantasy Draft for being our presenting sponsor. Completely rake-free. Their memberships are incredible. I've done my numbers, and where I'd be spending 15% of rake on my winnings, I'm at about 6.2% with the memberships on fantasy, with the membership on Fantasy Draft. So go there. You can't beat it. If you play head-to-heads like I do or cash games, it's fantastic because you go in there, and instead of challenging and playing somebody at $100 game and getting $90 back, like you do on most sites, you play 100, you get 100, you get $200 back. So that's the way to go. Go to fantasydraft.com, sign up with the promo code HoopBall, get that 7 days free. As far as our fantasy DFS show, you can listen to us 7 days a week. We've got you covered. Between myself and Andrew and Mike, we're here every night. We're covering every game during the entire season. And you can find us on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Podbean, iHeart, Spotify, YouTube. Anywhere podcasts are found, we are there. Take a minute, and you guys are listening and following through, and I really, really appreciate that because we've had a bunch of recent 5-star and comments and likes and thumbs up, and all of that means a lot to us because that is really what our sponsors want to see. And hoop-ball.com, which is our home base. Dan Besbris, Brew, and everybody that backs this DFS undertaking. Everybody, the more activity we get, we're certainly growing. There's lots of downloads, but we need those reviews. We need those 5 stars. We really, really appreciate it. So, and as I said, remember, we do this show the night before, and our goal is to get it out so you can listen to it that next morning, start building your lineup, evaluate a little bit in the afternoon. But the second part of it is extremely important. You have to stay up on any of the player news during the day, all the way up until lock, because you can't afford a single TJ Leaf kind of goose egg in your lineup, or it buries your entire lineup, or costs you the chicken soup challenge, or either one. But stay with us all day tomorrow. You can find us on Twitter. Go to @HoopBallFantasy. That is where all our Hoopball blurb guys and info guys, Andy Miles, all those guys are putting info on there constantly. You can find me at Joe Sarvadi. That's JoeSarvadi. He is at Mike Apotria, MikeApotria, or our man Andrew is at Language Olympic. You can also go to hoop-ball.com. Just click on forums, click on NBA DFS thread, and you will see everything posted there. I put all the player movement up there during the day as it goes on, and that will really, between the combination of the podcast, following all that player movement, it's going to give you the best chance to be successful in DFS. So that's what I got, man. That's the whole spiel. And let's go now to that Dallas Mavericks-Memphis Grizzlies game, which is the 4th of 5 games, the 3rd of the 4 on the main slate. And both teams coming on back-to-back. They're both playing tonight. And all I'll say, and I'll let you do the whole evaluation here, is I've watched Rick Carlisle firsthand for years, and he terrifies me on back-to-backs as far as playing guys limited minutes. So give me your scoop on why you're going to stick with Luka.
I'm just looking at the matchup as well. Yes, you know what you say about Carlisle is true, but when's the last time he's had a 19-year-old kid like Luka Doncic, or 20? Is he 19 or 20 right now?
He is 20.
So a 20-year-old kid like Luka Doncic that he was coaching. He doesn't have young talent like that he has right now. I mean, he's been coaching a veteran team for the past 5 years. So I do think we have to take that with a slight grain of salt. But this is going to be a fast-paced game. Memphis plays at a very high tempo, very young team. So I think that's going to bode well. I'm not too concerned about the back-to-back. I just think that looking at his price tag, this is a guy that should be priced over 10K on DraftKings and over 20K on Fantasy Draft. I think that that's something that we could take advantage of. I think he has just as much upside as Harden. So when I'm talking about an optimal build, for me, it's going to involve Westbrook and Doncic. When I'm talking about, having some shares in GPPs where I want both of those guys being Westbrook and Harden, I'm going to run it back with some of the guys in Chicago. Probably not going to be able to afford Doncic. So it's going to be all in your lineup construction. We only have 4 games. But if you're trying to spread the wealth across these 4 games, I think a very good build can start and consist of Doncic and Westbrook, both under 10K and under 20K on Fantasy Draft, and allows you to kind of spend up in a few other spots.
Fear the beard, man. Fear the beard. But
I like him. I'm not saying I don't like Harden. Don't get me wrong. You'll never hear me say fade him. But when you're talking, about the salary difference between those 3 players, it's vast enough to really think about it. Harden's 21K on Fantasy Draft, all the way down at Doncic 17.2. Then you go to Westbrook 16.6. That's absurd.
Yeah. I think it may shift a little bit tomorrow. We'll see. We'll see how that. Oh, that's for tomorrow's slate.
Yes.
21Q?
Yes, that's the slate. It's a 4K difference, 3,900K or $3,900 difference between Doncic and Harden. And literally 4,400 difference between Westbrook and Harden.
Chandler Hutchison has just officially made my lineup for sure.
Yeah, exactly. It's hard to ignore that. That's what I was saying too.
Yeah, you got to dumpster dive somewhere if you're going to try to do that. But I'm just going to simply say, what I said in the lead into this game is I'm fading the Mavericks. I just refuse to trust it. I've been burned by it too many times over the years with Carlisle. The Grizzlies always give us trouble. I don't care that it's a new coach and a new pace. I get all that. I'm the one that's been preaching that all along. They are top 7 in the league in pace. There are 2-6. They're not that good, but we always struggle in Memphis, and we're coming off a back-to-back. I just don't feel good about it. He rotates so many guys. We were talking about the other day in this, we're going to try to catch some of the second half when we get done with the show, but in that last game, he played 11 guys in the first half and played like 13 for the game. I thought you could only, I don't know what I was thinking, but do you dress? How many do you actually dress? 15?
Yeah,
Is that what it is now?
I think there's 15 on the active roster. Most
Yeah,
usually go 12 deep though. Most teams only
I
go 12
know.
deep.
But he plays so many guys, because he put JJ in there and he just played everybody. But I would assume he's going to do some of that tonight, knowing it's a back-to-back as well. But it was tied with the Knicks the last I've seen, so we'll see what happens there. But I'm fading Dallas. On the Memphis side, they've got a couple of main guys you can play. I'm just chomping at the bit to play Joe Val, but he just still hasn't gotten over this minutes restriction yet. I don't know when it's going to move, but he did play a little more the last game, so I've got to think they're incrementally bumping it up. But, if you tell me I'm going to get 25 to 30 minutes of Joe Val, his price is good enough where I think I can dial him in, and I'm going to do a little more research between now and lock tomorrow to see if I can find out anything on where exactly he stands on that restriction, because I know early on he was like 15 to 20, and they were serious. I mean, they lost like 3 games because he didn't get in the second half. So, he's playing terrific if he can get enough minutes. On the other side, Ja Morant is playing great, and he's got wheels, and he's sort of a tough matchup for us. I don't know if Carlisle adjusts, and instead of starting Curry, I think I'd probably start like a Brunson to match up against him. We'll see. Again, that's going to be one of those things where, if we stick with the rotation he's been doing right now, then, I think Ja becomes more in play. But again, he's also on somewhat of a limits restriction, like 28 to 30 minutes, which, is sort of agitating too. You spend that kind of money on a guy, you want to think in a close game you can get a 35, 36-minute game. So, I'm not crazy about this game at all. I'm going to try to find a Grizz guy to put in there, but this is going to be probably the biggest fade game of all 4 of them to me in the main slate.
All right, yeah, no, I mean I'm with you as far as Ja Morant. I don't really want to play him right now. Just knowing that minutes limit, you're paying for him right now. Yeah, yes, he has produced good games and everything like that over the past, but even when he's getting those 35 to 40-point fantasy games, he's paying for his salary, but not by that much. So there's a little bit more risk baked in there. Yes, Joe Val actually had a great game tonight, but yes, the minutes are still limited. I can't imagine that they go and push him up a big load on a back-to-back, so I think that he'll probably float around the same amount, if not maybe even 1 or 2 less, so I probably won't play him. Where I'm going, coach, is to get some of my value in this game. Yes, I understand foul trouble. I know you're probably going to hate this play, but Jaren Jackson Jr. is stupid cheap. He's too cheap. I don't care about the foul trouble. There's no way he should be $9K on Fantasy Draft. He is cheaper than Brandon Clark on some of the industry sites as well. A lot of that is because of Clark's inflation of the price when Jackson was out. So he's having an absolute. He looked good tonight, man. I was watching that game before we got on the show. I don't know if you've seen that dunk he had tonight.
No, I didn't.
Wait till you see the highlight of it.
Beautiful, huh?
Authority. He got so high up. It didn't look like that knee was a problem, is what I'm getting at. I didn't see any knee soreness in there. So I'm going to be all over Jackson, I think, tomorrow. Just like I said, it's a whole price thing. I know his upside. I'm a big Jaren Jackson guy. I'm going to tout him probably until my arms fall off. But it's Jaren Jackson for me at 4,700 on DraftKings, 9K on Fantasy Draft. Probably one of the only plays I'm going to really target from this game. But I feel good about that price, man.
I don't blame you. I'm going to pivot to Brandon Clark. I'm a Brandon Clark guy. I don't like Triple J because of foul trouble. I think he just agitates me watching him. But I think Clark, he played 24 minutes tonight. If he gets his 25 to 30, I think, which he's gotten in the past, he gets up a decent amount of shots and he's very active.
Is that
I'm
a
a Clark
bet?
guy.
Do I hear a chicken soup bet right now? Is that what I heard? Jaron
You
Jackson
got
versus
it.
Clark? Let's do it.
Let's do it. And even though Jackson's starting, Clark's coming off the bench, you got a little. I'll give you that little edge back because, I'm not going to bring up through the year that you went T.J. Leaf against C.J. McCollum. So we'll just pretend that didn't
Oh,
happen.
no, it was TJ Leaf versus Dwight Powell. It wasn't CJ McCollum. You lost to
I
CJ McCollum.
Oh, I lost that one. Yeah. Oh, okay. Senile coach
Old
missed
man
it.
forget.
Yeah, that's right, Dwight Powell. And Dwight Powell stinks, so you shouldn't be that ashamed of that. No, he doesn't stink. He's okay, but not anywhere up there. I guess that's not quite as bad of a loss then. But yeah, I'll take that. I'll take Brandon Clark against Triple J.
All right.
I'm an underdog in that one, but I'm up one, so it'll be more satisfying to know. Joval played 21 minutes tonight. So, is that going to be an issue tomorrow? Does that mean he's going to play 20 some? I don't know. Probably not worth the risk and worth the money there. So, Memphis becomes sort of difficult to play there. There's really no guys that warrant play. This Marco Guduric dude played 24 minutes tonight. He's been getting quite a bit of run with Grayson Allen out, but God bless you if you have the guts to load him up there. I'm not going to do that. And then I don't see enough value on some of these guys to go that direction. Now, on the other side of the ball, I'm looking right now. Golden State and Minnesota just went to overtime, so that is interesting. That changes things a little bit for Golden State, coming off an overtime on the road, having to play another overtime game. Let's click into this game real quick and look at minutes played, because Golden State's been an awesome team for value. Everybody seems to be taking two of the Golden State guys, and that helps round out their roster all the time between Pascal and Bowman and all these guys. So let's take a live look in at Golden State. Robinson's played 37 minutes tonight. How about that? Pascal 33. D'Angelo's back. He's got 46 points right now, Mike.
Yeah, I know. I saw that. He's absolutely lighting it up.
Good
And
God.
one of my good Twitter pals, I don't know if you're familiar with him, Jodas Nader. Very good guy. I highly recommend people to follow him. Knows his basketball. Very good with the fantasy as well. He tweeted out that this is D'Angelo Russell's low key trade for me pitches. Because he's really good friends with Karl Anthony Towns, same draft class and everything. So he's trying to do the why don't you trade for me pitch, I guess. So that's a good call by him, actually. Once he said that, I was like, I wouldn't be shocked if I actually saw something like that happen.
He's only got 46 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, and a block. Holy crap. Talk about breaking the slate. He has broken the slate.
Especially with all those other guards that we had to choose from on tonight's slate. Like a lot of guards in good spots. We had Lillard, D'Angelo Russell, Doncic. There's a lot of guards.
Russell's single-digit owned, I think, if I'm not
exactly.
mistaken.
I'm not shocked at all.
Yeah. What a great play for whoever played him tonight. It looks like that is crushed Kai Bowman's. He only played 12 minutes and taken 2 shots, so he could pretty much scratch him off the list unless Russell sits, I guess, at this point. Alec Burks is come right back with another great game, 28 minutes, 18 points, 8 rebounds. So you got to look at Alec Burks tomorrow, I think, as mid-20s to 30 minutes. This is no fluke. He's played a couple of great games in a row. Pascal's, he's somewhat one of the leaders, and Glenn Robinson as well, even though he's only got 6, when you're talking about 38 minutes. And, this is sort of like a G League roster. So they're going to play guys minutes. It's not like they're trying to protect Joel Embiid here. We're talking about, Robinson and Pascal and Jordan Poole and Damian Lee and Kai Bowman. These guys should be in the G League. So I wouldn't concern with any of those minutes. And I think you just have to look closely, and you can still get your normal 2 super value guys from Golden State that can make your roster complete. And, I think you can feel comfortable with a Burks or, maybe a Poole, Pascal, Robinson, any of those guys. Even in a pinch, if you're going fantasy draft and playing multiple centers, Willie Cauley-Stein played 22 minutes tonight and grabbed 8 rebounds. So another option there. So I like the Golden State side, even though they're coming off of a overtime game, and I think I'll take a couple guys there that will fill out my team.
I agree. I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, some of this value did get priced up, but it's only because they were playing big minutes. They should continue to play big minutes. I like the Burks call. I'm going to have a ton of Burks tomorrow night. So that's one guy that I'm very interested in on Golden State. I'm probably not going to play Russell coming off of a big overtime game. He's having a big one now. Ankle injuries coming in, back to back, all those factors probably will, and just because, like we mentioned already, we're going to be playing a few of these other priced up guards. So I'm probably not going to have too many shares of Russell. And yeah, look how that turned out tonight. So, if you want to play him, go for it. I'm just not a kind of a point chaser kind of guy. That's not what I like to do. So I'm going to fade off of him. I'm going to kind of, look at Pascal, but I just don't think I'm going to be able to get to the $6,500 price tag, knowing some of the other guys I want to take a look at this slate as well. He's been playing great, but traditionally, OKC has been pretty good against power forwards in the past. Yes, looking at last year's stats, they had Paul George, and the previous year there was a different situation as well. But they've been pretty good against power forwards. It's not a spot that I generally like to target them against. I don't know if maybe it's the rotations that they make. I mean, it's a completely different team, so it's hard to tell. I know, like, statistically this year, you look at the numbers, it says that they're not that great against them.
Right.
So you could really look at it either way. I just don't want to target them anyway. You're looking at a price tag that's getting up there, and it's got to die down eventually. This guy's been shooting the lights out. He's been playing fantastic. I always knew he had rebounding upside and all that other good stuff, but he's been shooting the lights out. He's been shooting very well. That's going to kind of cool down. I'm pretty much just really looking at Alec Burks. I know that sounds crazy, but that's where that's like all I'm really interested in getting. Like I said, there's no late game hammer. There's nothing really attracting me to play this game so much. Maybe it's like the late game. Sometimes guys want to stay up late, watch that game. For you guys on the West Coast, it's not staying up late. It's dinner time almost. But for me over here, it would be normally a 10:30 game. And if I have a night off, I might throw an extra guy in there and a couple lineups just so I can get a little bit more juice in the action when I'm watching it. But I don't think I need to do that tonight. And looking at the Thunder side, I think it's just the usual guys that we're looking at. I'm going to jump off Chris Paul. I was on him in the last game against the Spurs. He was kind of my pivot to Rozier, and that paid off. But I'm going to jump off him in this matchup. I know it's a great one. I just don't think that in this sort of game where I think OKC should be able to win, I'm not going to say easily, but I feel confident in saying that they're going to win this game, and I don't think they're going to need to push Chris Paul necessarily in this kind of game. They're not really playing for anything. At the end of the day, he's their best trade bait that they have. So I'm going to be looking at Shea. I think he's still fairly priced. He kind of cooled off since the beginning of the year, but he still has that upside, and I think this is the kind of matchup that we could see him exploited in. I actually also think this is a solid Dennis Schroeder game. I think there's going to be some decent bench usage coming from this OKC team. Between him and Diallo, I think both those guys are also in play. Steven Adams, I'm waiting on these big games, but they're really limiting his minutes. They're kind of giving Noel a little bit more of a leash this year. And I mentioned this, I think we talked about it early on in the year. They told Noel something to get him to re-sign because he definitely had other offers and spots where he could have potentially started. So they definitely whispered sweet nothings into his ear and told him, you're going to get a few extra minutes until we trade Steven Adams, and then you'll be our starting center. I'm fully expecting that to happen at some point. We're kind of seeing it pan out because Adams I don't think he's played over 30 minutes a game this year. So
no, not at all.
I think for me, it's just those three guys. I'd be looking at Diallo, Schroeder, and Alexander.
Interesting. Very good. I'm always an SGA guy. I like the fact that I think he can step up in this game, going against a lesser defensive opponent. So SGA's high on my radar because I think, his ceiling is as high as most guys on the slate other than Harden and Westbrook. And I think, he's due for a smash game here. So I think a lot of people are going to get sucked into this Diallo thing because he's had a couple of good games with decent minutes. But I think that's a sucker play right there, a trap for sure. So I'm I'm sticking with SGA, and I like Nerlens Noel. He's outscored Adams heads up. He did last game. I think he can again this game at way reduced price. And again, being that I'm playing the two big Houston guys, I need a few dumpster dive guys to round out my cheaper side of the roster. So I'm focusing on Shea and Nerlens in this game, and I've already said my Golden State side. So
all right,
that's it, man. I am looking real quickly here. The cool thing is we're going to finish the show up and go check out a Dallas Knicks game that's tied with like 4 minutes left. So that's going to be a good sweat for us, both being Mavs fans.
Yeah, man, I can't wait. I love getting off because every time I feel like we get off a show, the Mavs are sweating out a game.
Every game, my son and I were just talking about that. Every game they played has been tight. They actually could very easily be undefeated because they lost that one game on the coach's challenge, which was bullshit, and then they absolutely handed the game to the Lakers by not fouling with that Danny Green 3, and that was a nightmare. Or they'd be undefeated. Isn't that crazy?
Coach, they're missing like one, possibly two pieces. I know. Everybody's saying like Andre Iguodala go here and there. what if Andre Iguodala just goes to the Mavs? They can just get a good wing defender. This is a completely different team. I think that's the one thing that they're missing is just that solid guy that can defend multiple positions on the wing. And this team could really make a run. I mean, I had them pegged. I know I sound like a homer, but I was realistic coming into the season saying that they had a chance at the 8th seed. But they look much better than that. We're seeing a few other teams in the West kind of crumble beneath themselves, whether it's due to injury or slow starts or whatever it may be. But they're really making a case for themselves, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it.
They're going to make the playoffs, dude. Well, let's go. We got to beat the Knicks, though. Let's go boot this game in and make sure we beat the Knicks and go from there. But outstanding, dude. So tomorrow night is that my solo night?
Coach, you are. I think you're on with Andrew.
I'm on with Andrew. Okay,
you are
the following night's my solo night. Yeah, that's okay. That's why I always check. That's why you're here, dude. So I'm with Andrew tomorrow, and then I have my solo night. All right, great. And tomorrow's show will be great because it's 8 games. It's going to be.
You're so out of it, Coach. You got it wrong again. Tomorrow you're with Andrew, then with me again, and then solo night.
Am I really?
Yeah, man.
Oh, God. I'll just dial up on here and just if I'm on, I'm on. Good God.
Any listeners that work for any sort of pharmaceutical companies with any testing memory drugs or if you got any extra vitamins
or what are those commercials that are on all the time?
Yeah, what are the 47 side effects that make the side effects 50 times worse than what's actually wrong with you at the initial time of taking the pharmaceutical drug. Yeah, no. Get this guy some vitamins. His memory, he's losing it. I got to remind him every time what day it is. It's like 50. It's like 50 first dates. Coach texts me in the morning, asks me who he is.
All I know is we better get off because I have to go take my meds.
Yeah, we'll end it on that one.
Absolutely, brother. Well, good show. Good tidy little 5-game slate. Make some money in that early single game. Knock the heck out of this 4-game slate, and then we will be back. Andrew and I are back tomorrow, so we'll go after it from there.
That's it, guys. I had a good time tonight, Coach.
Yeah, it was good. Let's go get these Mavericks in. All right. Well, thank you all for joining us on the Hoop Ball NBA DFS Today podcast. For my man Mike Apotria and also Andrew Hansen, I am Coach. We will catch you again tomorrow when we look to crush it on NBA DFS.
Take care, guys.
This has been a Hoop Ball presentation.